Just today was someone's birthday and I want to go ahead and talk about something. So we do have a lot of transits, but I really like what Uranus, I like what Pluto, and I like what Mercury are doing right now. So for today, or just after the new moon in Taurus, just after the Kazimi, can we see the Kazimi was before the new moon in Taurus, but just after all that stuff, right? But that's in tropical Western astrology. I am a Vedic newer astrologer, but I am a modern astrologer, as in I know there are different systems, and while I might not be certified in those other systems, I do incorporate them and I do pay attention to them because it's wise to get diverse information from all sources. Okay, so with that being stated, I want to finally say something, and these are my bedroom thoughts, or these are my unfiltered thoughts. So this is my Pluto digging and helping me find some truth to answer. Star Lady said in her video like that Pluto was going to be helping shine the light and go into the basement, and hey, Pluto's saying pointing there and saying, hey, that's where all the answers are. And so I decided, I was gonna finally talk about something I found in the basement. I didn't find maybe everything yet. I gotta go still discover some things, but before we run out of time, or whatever the case may be, or life goes back to lifing, because time never seems to be felt. It's just linear, no matter what people say. Like, the days do not feel the same, especially after you become an astrologer. You really be paying attention to that stuff. Anyway, so as I was saying, I want to talk about cusp energy. Okay, today is a cusp energy. I am a Vedic astrologer that does recognize cusps. This is not for you if you are a traditional astrologer, okay? Because traditional astrology, even in sidereal, teaches us about they talk about cusp, but they talk about it almost like the planet has access to both, lights up both rooms essentially. So they do recognize it in that aspect as it pertains to lordship, but I recognize it in astrology magic, and I recognize it in just cusp energy. It's very unique. Like, it's a portal, right? You are accessing two rooms. I wouldn't be surprised if cusps either live in a border town or in between two places, or are multicultural, okay, or end up learning about multiple cultures or multiple languages, or marry in, or something like that. But cusps end up living a very unique life and end up getting very unique abilities. And something that you should always know, depending on what type of cusp you are, right? So we are in Taurus Gemini cusp energy, right? Depending on that, you will decipher for you the portal energy that's going to be essentially happening, or what access point you can transmute, you can reverse, or you have the power to essentially, like, with your will, right, in that moment, not just like be one way or the other, right? I feel like the biggest obstacle for a cusp baby is learning how to access two elements at the same time, or learning how to activate that real middle energy so that both energies illuminate, so that you feel whole. Okay, and comment in the thoughts if you're a cusp. But these are my raw and filtered thoughts. This is obviously just something that I've been working on. And these are going, maybe eventually one day I will write an astrology thesis on my findings, but I'll wait for that moment later. Right now, I can at least talk about what cusp energy can do for you as it pertains to astrology magic. You can always count on a cusp date, if you follow whatever astrology you follow. If you follow Mayan astrology, which I do, tropical astrology, modern astrology, which I do as well, and sidereal Vedic astrology, which I do as well, right? When you bring all these multifaceted energy, also some synchronicities or some signs that you could have cusp energy, because maybe it's not, you'll feel it the most if it's in your rising, okay? But you will maybe notice subtler influences if other planets are on the cusp axis of your chart, okay? But this is just because I want y'all to really explore this idea. Let me know, because like, I know my cusps are out here living crazy lives. Like, as an example, look, this is a terrible example, but like, I'm gonna say it, dude. I'm just gonna say it. Like, Jeffrey Epstein was a cusp baby, bro. There, I said it. I'm a cusp baby, but I'm a Vedic cusp baby. I have a family member who's a cusp baby for Taurus and Gemini, but again through Western astrology. And the way that cusps move is just so unique, always being pulled in one direction or the other. But you find your true power when you unite both versions of you and become a version of the avatar. That's just the way I like to say it. But Pluto, I feel like, is really going to be uncovering these secrets and saying, hey, like, you do know that multiple elements can really interact with each other. Or one of the reasons why we might feel attracted to certain like people is because they can give you access points to elements that maybe you cannot work in your alchemy, right? Like, maybe you're an oil practitioner, or maybe you're not a practitioner, but maybe you feel like connected to like one element over the other. There's 5 elements, the 4, the 5th one is spirit. Okay, so, and they all point in every direction, and the astrology wheel follows all of these synchronicities. Like, it is a multifaceted map that went and traveled all over the world and gathered all of this information from all of these people that did like lifetime of work, and then bam, they matched their notes, and then it continued from there and evolved and continued and evolved and continued, which is why astrology is called a spiritual science. But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to go ahead and talk about that. So don't be shy, don't be afraid, and don't feel like no one understands you. You just gotta go find another cusp baby. Even if they're rare, even if cusp babies are rare, because they are, you know, they are unique, or you'll find oftentimes that their lives will be so like, what in the, how did you survive? What the fuck? The did you just say? And they just keep going. But if they're in low vibrational energy, they might feel, you know, numb on the inside, which hopefully that's not the case for you. But if you ever want to turn on or understand or maybe tap into, right, some bippity bop right, energy, some extra whimsical or some rainbow energy, right, or some multifaceted energy, you can divinate, pay attention to the lunar transits, right? But you can essentially do astrology magic on a cusp day or a portal day. It's a monthly portal. Yes, numerology will give you like certain portals to, but that's really, really incorporated like to that specific energy. But if you want to be able to access like two energies at the same time, or if you want to be able to do something, you know, cusp portal energy is very unique, you know, the day of, right? And then you want to pay attention to the year as well. Like, so like do your research, but you know, some secret portal energy, I'm just saying, some transmutation, or maybe some good reversal energy, I'm just saying, if you want to go ahead and do that, like, yes, you could do it on any other day, but you might feel a little bit of an extra umph if you're around a cusp baby, or if you are around a if you are doing this or divinating or receiving time or energy on or doing a ritual on a cusp day. And today in Western astrology, it is a cusp day to me, because I recognize it. Do you recognize it? Let me know. All right, bye.